Did you know Texas used to be its own country? Or that there's a town literally named Earth? How about the fact that there's a meteor crater near Odessa, millions of bats that darken the sky outside San Antonio, and a coral reef quietly thriving off the Texas coast? Well, hold on to your brisket, because the Lone Star State is full of geography so big, bizarre, and downright unbelievable, it could fill an oil field. From rivers that flow backwards to cities that glow at night, and from underground caverns to BBQ rivalries that could start civil wars, we're counting down 50 Texas facts you never knew. This is the state where you can watch a desert snowfall, drive 12 hours and never leave, and still meet someone who says they're from the real Texas. So sit back, grab a cold Dr. Pepper, and get ready to explore a state that does everything bigger, from its myths to its mosquitoes. And hey, if you enjoy this kind of journey through the strange and fascinating corners of the world, do me a favor. Hit that like button, subscribe for more, and tell me in the comments how many of these facts you already knew. And which one made you say, wait, what? All right, let's head south, saddle up, and start with one of the most unbelievable facts of all. Fact 50. The state that used to be its own country. Before Texas joined the United States, it was an actual country. The Republic of Texas lasted from 1836 to 1845, complete with its own president, army, navy, flag, currency, and questionable border claims. Texans printed their own money, signed treaties with foreign nations, and spent most of their time arguing over whether to join the U.S. or stay gloriously independent forever. The experiment didn't last long, but the attitude did. Even today, the Republic of Texas isn't just a line from a history book, it's a personality trait. Fact 49. Bigger than you think. Texas is so big it breaks maps. You can drive for 12 hours in one direction and still be surrounded by Texans. The state covers 238,896 square miles, larger than France, bigger than Germany, and roughly the size of all of Western Europe's continents combined. From the pine forest near Louisiana to the desert cliffs of Big Bend, it's like 5 states glued together and told to get along. Texans like to joke that the sun doesn't set here. It just takes a while to cross the state line. Fact 48. The town that floats on oil. In 1901, a little hill outside Beaumont called Spindletop turned into a geyser of black gold, shooting oil 150 feet into the air for 9 straight days. That single event kicked off the modern oil industry, flooded Texas with millionaires, and made the phrase Texas tea sound classy. Overnight, sleepy towns became boom towns. Fortunes were made and lost, and the state's economy was changed forever. The gusher spewed so much oil it actually lowered the hill it came from. Texas didn't just strike oil, it became oil. Fact 47. The river that makes its own border. The Rio Grande is more than just a river. It's an international boundary, a desert lifeline, and occasionally a troublemaker. Flowing 200 miles along the Texas-Mexico border, it cuts through canyons so deep they look carved by giants. But the Rio Grande doesn't always stay where it's supposed to. Over the years, it's shifted channels, flooded fields, and even swapped patches of land between countries. Maps get redrawn, farmers get confused, and the river just keeps rolling along like it owns the place. Fact 46. The Alamo wasn't the end. Everyone remembers the Alamo, the doomed last stand, the cannon fire, the courage. But what most people forget is that it wasn't the end of the story. Just 6 weeks later, the Texian army surprised Santa Anna's forces at the Battle of San Jacinto, shouting, "Remember the Alamo," as they charged. The entire battle lasted 18 minutes. Texas won its independence, Santa Anna was captured, and history got itself a movie plot. The Alamo was a tragedy. San Jacinto was revenge served hot. Fact 45. Tornado Alley's front porch, North Texas, is where tornadoes go to flex. The flat, open land around Wichita Falls, Denton, and Dallas sits right on the edge of Tornado Alley, where warm Gulf air slams into cold fronts from the Rockies. The result? Sky spaghetti. Texas averages more tornadoes per year than any other state, and locals treat sirens like background noise. Storm chasers call it exciting. Everyone else calls it insurance deductible season. The skies may be dramatic, but the locals barely blink, because in Texas, even the weather likes to show off. Fact 44, the city that sinks and rises, Houston, the fourth largest city in America, is literally sinking. But don't worry, its skyline is still climbing. Built on soft clay and ancient sediments, the city has slowly dropped several inches thanks to groundwater pumping. Engineers call it subsidence. Houstonians call it Tuesday. Meanwhile, the city keeps building taller towers to keep ahead of gravity. Add in occasional floods and an army of mosquitoes, and you've got one of the flattest, wettest, most ambitious cities in the country. A metropolis constantly in a polite wrestling match with the earth beneath it. Fact 43. The hill country has its own ocean. Hidden in the rolling limestone hills of central Texas are springs so clear they look fake. Places like Jacob's Well and Hamilton Pool aren't your average swimming holes. They're entrances to underwater caverns that stretch deep into the earth. These springs bubble up from the Edwards Aquifer, a massive underground reservoir that keeps the hill country alive. Locals treat them like sacred spaces where summer heat goes to die. It's not just swimming, it's baptism by geology. Fact 42. The only state with its own power grid, Texas, doesn't share electricity. While the rest of the continental U.S. connects to either the eastern or western power grids, Texas runs on its own, the ERCOT grid, because it didn't want the federal government telling it what to do. It's a bold, independent system that works great until it doesn't. When winter storms hit in 2021, millions lost power, and suddenly, independence didn't feel so romantic. Still, in true Texas fashion, the grid got patched up, rebooted, and the lights came back, mostly. Fact 41. A desert with snow, Big Bend National Park is one of Texas's wildest places. A landscape of cactus, canyons, and colors that look painted on. But here's the twist. It also gets snow. High up in the Chisos Mountains, winter brings frost to the desert. You can stand among blooming agaves while watching snowflakes fall on jagged cliffs. It's one of the few places where you can sweat, freeze, and sunburn all in the same hour. Big Bend isn't just big, it's practically another planet. Fact 40. The coastline nobody talks about Texas has a coast, and it's massive. 367 miles of shoreline along the Gulf of Mexico, plus thousands more if you count the bays, inlets, and islands. It's a coast of shrimp boats, hurricanes, and sunsets that look airbrushed. Places like Padre Island and Matagorda Bay are paradise for birdwatchers, fishermen, and anyone who prefers their beaches with a side of barbecue smoke. The Gulf water might not be Caribbean blue, but it's warm, forgiving, and full of stories. From pirate hideouts to shipwrecks that still sleep beneath the waves. Fact 39. A town built around a meteor. Just outside Odessa sits a crater the size of 20 football fields. The Odessa meteor crater, one of the largest in the United States. About 50,000 years ago, a 60-ton chunk of space rock slammed into the Earth here, leaving behind a dent you can still stand in. Scientists study it, tourists pose in it, and locals just shrug and say, yeah, space fell here once. Texas may be big, but even it couldn't dodge a flying rock from the cosmos. Fact 38. The world's largest honky-tonk. In Fort Worth, everything revolves around a dance floor. Billy Bob's Texas bills itself as the world's largest honky-tonk. A 3-acre cathedral of neon, live music, and mechanical bulls. There's an indoor rodeo arena, a wall of celebrity handprints, and a menu that treats steak like a food group. Country legends from Willie Nelson to Garth Brooks have played here, and thousands two-step under its roof every weekend. It's loud, proud, and perfectly Texan. Like a barn dance that just never ended. Fact 37. The Capitol taller than the U.S. Capitol. Everything's bigger in Texas, even democracy. The Texas State Capitol in Austin stands 308 feet tall, taller than the one in Washington, D.C. Built from pink granite quarried near Marble Falls, it gleams like a sunset when the light hits it just right. Inside, the building is a maze of marble floors, echoing hallways, and portraits of every governor since 1836. It's equal parts political landmark and architectural brag. Texans didn't just build a capital, they built a reminder that you're not in Washington anymore. Fact 36. The river that flows underground. San Antonio's most famous attraction is technically below street level. The Riverwalk is a network of canals, cafes, and cypress trees built along the rerouted San Antonio River. What began as a flood control project turned into one of the most beautiful urban waterways in the world. You can ride a boat, grab a taco, and listen to mariachis, all while floating under stone bridges. Above, the city hums. Below, time slows down. It's the only place where downtown feels like a secret. Fact 35. The forest. Nobody expects drive east from Dallas long enough and suddenly Texas stops looking like Texas. The red dirt gives way to pine needles and the flat horizon turns into a forest canopy. This is East Texas, a landscape of swamps, bayous, and towering loblolly pines that could easily be mistaken for Louisiana. The piney woods stretch across 4 national forests, filled with mossy trails, hidden lakes, and the occasional alligator pretending to be a log. It's humid, green, and quiet. Texas at its softest. Fact 34. Oddities. Bluebonnet season is a religion. When spring hits, Texas explodes in blue. Fields, highways, and pastures transform into oceans of bluebonnets. The state flower. And it's basically a statewide photo shoot. Families pull over on the shoulder of busy highways to take pictures among the blooms, sometimes dodging fire ants and traffic to do it. The petals last only a few weeks, but for Texans, that's long enough to prove that nature still does color better than Instagram filters. If you're not covered in pollen by April, are you even Texan? Fact 33. The town that spoke German. Fredericksburg, in the heart of the hill country, feels like Bavaria got lost and decided to stay. Founded by German immigrants in the 1840s, it still celebrates Oktoberfest, sells homemade strudel, and features a museum dedicated to Admiral Nimitz, who was born here. The street names sound like beer brands, the sausages are perfection, and yes, you can buy lederhosen next to cowboy hats. It's one of those rare Texas towns where the past didn't fade. It just learned English with an accent. Fact 32. Home of the world's first rodeo. In 1883, the small West Texas town of Pecos hosted what's considered the world's first organized rodeo. Cowboys competed in roping, bronc riding, and bragging rights because someone finally decided to turn ranch work into a sport. The rodeo became a Texas institution, and today you can find one almost every weekend somewhere in the state. What started as a friendly challenge is now a multi-million-dollar tradition that defines Texas culture. Proof that anything involving horses and applause will catch on here fast. Fact 31. A city that glows at night. Naturally near the town of Marfa, strange glowing orbs appear on the horizon, flickering, splitting, and dancing across the desert. They've been seen for over a century, long before car headlights could explain them. Scientists blame heat refraction, locals blame ghosts, and a few people just shrug and enjoy the show. The Marfa Lights have their own viewing area and annual festival. Whether it's physics or folklore, it's still one of Texas's most hauntingly beautiful mysteries. A light show no one can turn off. Fact 30. The town that buried its cars. Amarillo isn't just surrounded by desert, and it built one. Cadillac Ranch is an art installation made of 10 Cadillacs buried nose first in the dirt, tilted at the same angle as the Great Pyramid of Giza. Each car is covered in decades of graffiti, layered so thick it's practically a geological record of spray paint. Tourists bring cans just to add their names, creating a monument to American excess and roadside weirdness. It's equal parts sculpture, junkyard, and rebellion. The perfect metaphor for Texas itself. Fact 29. A lake that doesn't stay. Still straddling the border between Texas and Oklahoma, Lake Texoma is one of the largest reservoirs in the country, and one of the most stubborn. Every flood, drought, or dam adjustment changes its shoreline, causing the two states to quietly argue about whose land and fish belong where. The Red River feeds it, the Denison Dam holds it back, and boaters just enjoy the chaos. Some call it the Lake of Many Borders. Everyone else just calls it a great excuse for a cookout. Fact 28. The Cave. With its own bats. Just north of San Antonio, millions of Mexican free-tailed bats live inside Bracken Cave, the largest bat colony on Earth. Each summer evening, 20 million of them pour out in a swirling black ribbon that stretches for miles across the sky. It's nature's version of rush hour, except these commuters eat their body weight in mosquitoes. The sound is like wind mixed with whispers, and the sight is unforgettable. Texans don't just have stars in their night sky, they have bats too. Fact 27. You can ski in Texas, sort of. In summer, the Guadalupe River becomes one long floating parade of tubes, coolers, and questionable life choices. Locals call it river skiing, a form of relaxation that involves minimal movement and maximum sunscreen. People tie their tubes together, drift for hours through limestone canyons, and occasionally flip over when they hit a rock. It's chaotic, beautiful, and deeply Texan, proof that even in 100-degree weather, there's always a way to make water recreation an extreme sport. Fact 26. The desert full of dinosaurs. Long before cowboys and oil rigs, dinosaurs stomped across Texas and left proof. In places like Dinosaur Valley State Park near Glen Rose, you can literally walk in their footprints, fossilized in riverbed limestone. The tracks date back over 100 million years when this land was a shallow sea. Some prints are so distinct you can see claw marks and toe impressions. Kids run between them, pretending to be raptors. Paleontologists treat them like gold. It's ancient Texas, preserved in stone. No cowboy boots required. Fact 25. Space City. Earned its name. When you hear Houston, you probably hear it in an astronaut's voice. That's because NASA's Johnson Space Center, the nerve center for every manned space mission since 1965, calls Houston home. Here, the Apollo missions were controlled, the moon landings directed, and the phrase, "Houston, we have a problem," entered pop culture. Today, visitors can touch real moon rocks and walk through retired spacecraft. Houston didn't just reach for the stars, it answered the phone when they called back. Fact 24. A town named Earth. Welcome to Earth, Texas. Population about 900 and elevation 3,600 feet. Settled in 1924, it's the only place on the planet where you can truthfully say, "I'm from Earth." The name came from a contest after residents decided Tulsa was already taken. The winning entry was simple and cosmic all at once. These days, Earth is a small farming town with big humor about its name. The local high school mascot? The Longhorns, of course, because even Earth needs a little Texas in it. Fact 23. The Mystery Lights of Saratoga. Down a lonely road in East Texas, a strange glowing light has appeared for decades. Locals call it the Saratoga or Bragg Light. A floating orb that drifts down the old railroad bed, sometimes splitting, vanishing, or chasing cars. Some say it's swamp gas, others swear it's the ghost of a decapitated railroad worker searching for his lantern. Scientists have tried to explain it, but the mystery persists. The road is officially called Ghost Road now because honestly, why fight good branding? Fact 22. The ghost towns everywhere. When you have as much land as Texas, you also have leftovers, and those leftovers are ghost towns. More than 500 of them dot the map, abandoned by miners, oilmen, or railroad workers who packed up when the money ran out. Some still have crumbling saloons and rusting water towers. Others are just a name on a weathered sign. You can drive for hours and stumble upon entire histories that simply stopped. Texas isn't just big, it's haunted by its own ambition. Fact 21. The salt that built a city. Long before El Paso had skyscrapers, it had salt. Huge white flats stretching across the desert, remnants of an ancient sea. For centuries, people came here to collect the mineral, but by the 1800s, it became valuable enough to fight over. literally. The Salt Wars of the 1870s pitted local Mexicans, Texans, and businessmen against each other in a violent feud over who owned the salt beds. Dozens died over something we now toss on French fries. Texas history. Never boring, always dramatic. Fact 20. Tornado on ice. If you ever wanted to experience 4 seasons in a single day, Amarillo has you covered. Located on the high plains of the Texas Panhandle, it's famous for weather so unpredictable it feels like a dare. Locals have seen 75-degree sunshine turn into a full blizzard by dinnertime. And that's not even unusual. Winds whip so fast they sandblast cars, tumbleweeds roll by like they're late for something, and the entire city just shrugs. Texans don't check forecasts here, they just open the door and take their chances. Fact 19. The State Fair is a religion. The Texas State Fair in Dallas isn't just an event, well, it's an institution. Held every fall since 1886, it's the biggest fair in the country, complete with a Ferris wheel taller than most office buildings and a 55-foot talking cowboy named Big Tex, who welcomes millions of visitors. You can eat anything here as long as it's been deep-fried. Oreos, butter, bacon, even Dr. Pepper. It's loud, crowded, and smells like nostalgia and funnel cake. Texans don't attend the fair, they pilgrimage. Fact 18. Where BBQ borders become blurred, Texas barbecue isn't one flavor. It's a full-blown identity crisis. In Central Texas, it's all about brisket smoked low and slow over oak. In East Texas, it's saucy and sweet, dripping from the bone. South Texas brings spice and mesquite, and West Texas, that's cowboy style, cooked directly over flames. Ask 3 Texans where to find the best BBQ and you'll start a debate that could last until the next election. The only thing everyone agrees on, if it's not smoked, it's not barbecue. Fact 17. The second largest canyon in the U.S. Deep in the Panhandle lies Palo Duro Canyon, the so-called Grand Canyon of Texas. It stretches 120 miles long and plunges nearly 1,000 feet deep, carved by the Red River over millions of years. The colors shift from red to gold to violet as the sun moves, and wild turkeys roam its trails like they own the place. Comanches once called it home. Today, hikers and campers fill its ridges. It's breathtaking, quiet, and criminally underrated. Because even Texas can't out-hype Arizona's PR team. Fact 16. A town that moved. Literally Paris, Texas. Yes, there's one. Burned down in 1916. Instead of despairing, residents simply rebuilt the entire city a few blocks over and carried on like nothing happened. The new Paris even built its own Eiffel Tower, a 65-foot metal replica topped with a giant red cowboy hat, because of course it is. The town's motto could easily be, if at first you don't succeed, rebuild it bigger. Somewhere, a French architect is both flattered and confused. Fact 15. The border where you can walk to another country. In the city of Laredo, you can literally walk across a bridge and step into Mexico in less than 2 minutes. The Rio Grande runs so calm here it feels more like a handshake than a border. Families live on both sides, sharing culture, language, and lunch breaks across the line. Every February, Laredo even hosts the biggest George Washington's birthday celebration in America, complete with mariachi bands. It's the only place where history, geography, and tacos all meet in the middle. Fact 14. The Sea of Grass. Before it was ranchland, the Texas Panhandle was a vast ocean of prairie. Endless waves of buffalo grass stretching from horizon to horizon. Millions of bison once grazed here along with pronghorns, coyotes, and wolves. Today, it's mostly cattle, cotton, and wind turbines, but if you squint during sunset, you can still imagine the Great Plains as they were. Silent, golden, and alive. The wind hums through the grass like memory itself, and a reminder that the wild never really left. Fact 13. The state's hidden coral reef. Yes, Texas has coral reefs. About 100 miles off the Gulf Coast lies the Flower Garden Banks National Marine Sanctuary, an underwater paradise of coral, manta rays, sharks, and sea turtles. It's one of the healthiest coral systems in the entire Caribbean region, and it's older than the Alamo. The reefs thrive on salt domes that rise from the seafloor, creating islands of color in a world of blue. It's proof that even beneath the waves, Texas insists on doing its own thing. Fact 12. The highway that never ends. If speed had a home, it would have a Texas license plate. State Highway 130, which runs between Austin and San Antonio, holds the highest legal speed limit in the United States, 85 miles per hour. On some stretches, that's just the suggestion. Locals say you haven't truly driven Texas until you've watched the sunset in your rearview mirror for 3 hours straight. It's fast, flat, and strangely peaceful. A reminder that freedom here often comes with a gas bill. Fact 11. The capital of Weird Austin's official slogan is "Keep Austin Weird," and it's less of a motto than a civic duty. The city's mix of artists, techies, musicians, and free spirits has created a culture that feels like Portland with cowboy boots. You can find food trucks serving gourmet tacos next to high-tech offices, and live music in every bar, cafe, and probably bathroom. It's a place where creativity runs on caffeine and barbecue sauce. Austin doesn't just embrace weird, it's built an economy around it. Fact 10. The island that built its own wall. After the catastrophic Galveston hurricane of 1900, still the deadliest natural disaster in U.S. history, the island city decided to do the unthinkable: raise itself. Engineers lifted entire buildings, homes, and streets by as much as 17 feet, while building a massive seawall that still stands today. The project took years, cost millions, and saved countless lives in future storms. Galveston didn't just rebuild, it reinvented itself on higher ground. Few cities have ever defied nature so boldly or so literally. Fact 9. The border that flows backward. Every so often, after a hard rain in the desert, the Rio Grande decides to rewrite geography. Floodwaters surge so powerfully that parts of the river actually reverse direction, flowing north into Texas, instead of south toward the Gulf. Farmers watch their irrigation ditches fill the wrong way, and border markers suddenly look like polite suggestions. It's one of nature's rare reminders that lines on a map are temporary, and rivers, especially Texan ones, don't take orders from anyone. Fact 8. The town with a 6-story sandwich. Waco's most famous export isn't just fixer-upper, it's Dr. Pepper. The world's first Dr. Pepper was created here in the 1880s, and today the city proudly hosts the Dr. Pepper Museum, a multi-floor temple to Texas's original soft drink. Visitors can see old bottling machines, vintage ads, and even try the original recipe. It's part history, part sugar rush, and entirely Texan. Waco didn't invent soda. It just made it taste like ambition and caramel. Fact 7. The place where space fell from the sky. In 1979, pieces of NASA's Skylab, America's first space station, re-entered the atmosphere and rained down over Texas. Locals near Fort Worth woke up to find metal fragments scattered across pastures and driveways. Some people sold the debris, others used it as lawn decor. NASA called it an unplanned re-entry. Texans called it free scrap metal. It wasn't the first time something strange fell from the sky here, and judging by Texas' track record, it probably won't be the last. Fact 6. The cave you can walk into forever. Near San Antonio, the Natural Bridge Caverns stretch deep beneath the hill country. A world of dripping stone, cool air, and echoing chambers. Discovered in the 1960s by students who squeezed through a narrow crevice, it's now one of the largest cave systems in the state. Stalactites hang like chandeliers, underground rivers ripple in the dark, and every step feels like walking through time itself. Above ground, Texas bakes in the sun. Below, it whispers. Fact 5. The river that sounds like music. The Frio River winds through central Texas, its name meaning cold in Spanish, which feels accurate the instant you step in. Locals swear the river hums when the wind passes over its bends, a soft tone that carries through the canyons. Whether it's physics or folklore, it's hypnotic. Families camp along its banks, tubers float for miles, and the sunsets turn the water gold. It's the soundtrack of summer, calm, cold, and quietly alive. Fact 4. the cowboy capital of the world. Bandera doesn't claim cowboy culture, it lives it. With more rodeos per capita than anywhere else, it's officially known as the cowboy capital of the world. Horses outnumber stoplights, ranchers tip their hats to strangers, and even the gas stations sell saddles. Visitors can ride trails, attend chuck wagon dinners, or sleep in a dude ranch that looks straight out of a John Wayne movie. In Bandera, cowboy isn't a costume, it's an operating system. Fact 3. The ghosts of the missions. San Antonio's historic Spanish missions, including the Alamo, are centuries old, their stone walls still echoing with prayers, battles, and footsteps from another era. At night, locals say the air feels charged like the past never fully left. Rangers have heard church bells ring when the towers are empty, and visitors have spotted robed figures near candlelit altars. Whether it's history or haunting, the missions remind you that Texas roots run deep, and sometimes they still whisper back. Fact 2. The town that eats the dust. Lubbock doesn't just get dusty unless it disappears in it. Every spring, the wind kicks up so much red dirt that daylight turns sepia and visibility drops to zero. Locals call it a haboob, which sounds cute until you're driving through one. The dust coats everything: cars, houses, sandwiches, and people still go about their day like it's just slightly inconvenient weather. In most places, this would be apocalyptic. In West Texas, it's Tuesday. Fact 1. Everything's bigger, including the legends. Texas doesn't just make history, it supersizes it. From 72-ounce steak challenges to 200-foot flags waving over highways, everything here seems designed to outdo itself. The myths are larger, the stories louder, and the pride taller than any skyline. You can laugh at the slogans, debate the barbecue, or question the hats, but in the end, Texas doesn't care. It's not trying to be the biggest, it just is. There you have it. Can you believe Texas used to be its own country? A whole nation with its own president, army, and currency. And somehow, the same love for barbecue and tall tales it has today. That's Texas for you. Big enough to hold deserts and snow, proud enough to build its own power grid, and unpredictable enough to make its rivers flow backward, just to prove a point. It's wild, beautiful, exhausting, and impossible not to admire. So, how many of these facts did you already know? And which one surprised you the most? Let me know down in the comments. I read every one of them. If you enjoyed this journey through the Lone Star State, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss the next deep dive into the strange, funny, and quietly fascinating corners of our world. Thanks for watching. And remember, in Texas, even the legends wear cowboy boots.